Usually these videos are all about me, but today these videos are all about you. Here they are. And in fact, oh shoot, let me fix some things. Whoops. Okay. In fact, I've listened to a lot of things that are not you. And they start with the Beatles' Revolver. Now, this one was very interesting because it's actually what do you call it? A gray mail thing? I don't remember. A gray something. I actually bought this technically from a friend who works at Goodwill, who I guess they've got a little bit of an online presence, So, totally legitimate, as you can see, right? The Media 2 label. Right. And, we all know the iconic picture on the front of, I think this is John or something. Oh, no, it's Yoko, actually. Yoko. It's where John met Yoko, and they were like, all fell in love with her, and they were like, we need to have her on the cover of Revolver, for sure. And I think it's like a dub off the vinyl version or something. So that's a classic, obviously. That's so important. I think I spent $20 on it because, you just got to have stuff like that. They're so weird. Buzzcock's Best Operator's Manual. The, speaking of weird, MG version from Poland, I think. I got to see the Buzzcocks one time before Pete Shelley died, and they rocked as hard as any band. And yeah, I've always liked the Buzzcocks. They're one of the classic 1970s punk bands. Pete Shelley at least. I've even got in the other collection, I've got like I think it's a video game or something, or I don't really understand quite what it was, but it had a Pete Shelley album on one side and then I think a video game on the other side. It was one of the strangest things I've ever got, but I do have it. Okay, so here's a classic Cure from 79. Live thing, off of some newfangled label that, I don't know, they have a barcode. Don't ask me too much about it. But it sounded good. It was fun to listen to. I like the early Cure quite a bit, Forest and things like that. And speaking of the 70s, younger, louder, and snottier, the original mix, which I think I liked, better than, unlike, I think in the liner notes it alludes to, this is kind of like the David Bowie, it has the same effect as the David Bowie mix versus the original mix of Raw Power, but I don't think that's true. I think this get more guitarish, younger, louder, and snottier was exactly younger, louder, and snottier. The live album is also very good. But here we get to like something I've been kind of looking for a while, and it's Liz Phair's first tape, really. Now, obviously not an original, but her reissue from 2018. Yeah, Liz Phair is somebody who, this is actually from 91, and it's quite good. In that I think it's her best work in a lot of sense. I think it's better than her label debut. It's less polished, and it's just her and her guitar, but she's the kind of artist who's the most artistic when it's just her and her guitar, I think. I don't think she needs a band or drummer or anything. I don't know that it adds much to her. Or like then she's got one song where she just plays the piano or something, and I don't think that was called Chopsticks actually. But yeah, like this girly sound thing is the best stuff. I mean, for my money, I was actually really surprised at how much more I liked it than her. Okay, well, part of that might be because I lived with somebody a long, long time ago in Cambridge, Massachusetts, who really would only play something like five tapes. And one of them was a Liz Phair, and she just loved Liz Phair, and or CDs. It wasn't tapes, it was CDs. So I'd come home every day, and there'd be like one of the five options playing for about half a year, and we got really mad at each other and didn't like her. I didn't like each other very much. She was my first roommate. So she I don't know. There were other things, like one time she came in and I think there was a hair on the soap, and so she thought I used her soap, but I hadn't, and somehow one of my hairs got on it. But she like held the soap in my face. Anyway, she loved Liz Fair, and but yeah, I think she should have heard this, and she probably wouldn't have liked this as the girly sound as much. Yeah, it really makes me looking forward to hearing the sort of pop idol Liz Fair from 2003. I'm looking forward to that too, when she's like 50 years old. And yeah, that's fascinating too, that she went from that to that. And anyway, let's move on. It's 5 minutes mark. I got more to do. Hypno Beat. Oh, Hypno Beat. Although this one's pretty boring. I think it's from 2014 or something, and they haven't really changed or done much since then. But it's in Russia. I think I got it from Russia, and I love the 1984 Hypno Beat, which is, it straddles this very fine, wonderful line between like early and early electronica type, early electronic music, I guess, versus later electronic dance type music. And it's got some 808 sounds and some electronic drum sounds that were kind of primitive sounding back then, but they're just, yeah, they're brand new, and so they've got that, but they just don't fit. Yeah. Anyway, here's My Bloody Valentine. Isn't anything a kind of, the only issue of it that I didn't really notice, and I keep meaning to look. Every time I go to the computer to look for this, I get distracted and forget to do it, but I don't remember whether the seller described a little cutout for that, indicating that it was in a cutout bin. I have to look for that again. But, of course, it sounded fine, and I'll look for it again. It was cheap enough, and anyway, I've got the promo version, and I've got 2 other versions. Now we get to normal. So my friend's dad, who collected tapes, gave me, I think, Normal's something like, what was it? Like 9 through 13 or 14 or something. 9 through 17, I think, but I'm missing one of them. So I had a whole bunch of them anyway, but wow, 1 through 4, I don't remember them being this good. I mean, they had a bunch of like White House and other European things that I wasn't sure, but geez, I mean, these tapes are from like 83, 84, and they are, I don't know, they all kind of look the same. They have this guy, or they've got a different somebody or other, and then the music on them is just a few bands I've never heard of. Like, what was the band? One of them was called Frozen Mice Freezing or something. Frozen Mice. Something. And I just listened to number 3 right now, and it was just, I was like, damn, I can't believe the music came out like this back then. And so it needs to be kind of celebrated a lot more, I think. Okay, so, and music that needs to be celebrated probably a lot less is Fish, because they're I don't say they're overrated, but like they have thousands and thousands of people go to these silly shows. This one I actually didn't hate so much. Billy Breathes. It's the promo version, and I just bought it. I guess you can contact this person back in '96. What do they got? Not a bad album, really. I guess Free is okay. Yeah, and a lot of the stuff, it's not life changing, but it's not bad. I don't really know what to say about it. I do know what to say about this. This one's called Slip, Stitch, and Pass. Now, is it really called Slip, Stitch, and Pass, though? I think it's called Clip, Stitch, and Pass. I think Elektra kind of messed up on their titling of this one, and that's why I think they blocked out the title here. Slip, Stitch, and Pass. But, I mean, of course, we know what it's called. I don't know why they bothered. This album is not very good. It's kind of falls on all the lame hippie tropes that Fish is known for. There's some terrible songs like Wolfman's Brother is stupid. Jesus Left Chicago is pretty lame. I hate Wikipaw Groove so much. That's the one where I just imagine a whole bunch of hippies doing like spastic hippie dances to it and just blissing out and yeah, whatever. So all of the things I like about certain things about Fish, I really hate about their live albums, which is kind of funny because like Fish is all about their live albums, of course. And I don't really mind their live bootlegs, but this is one where they really tried to put together a live album that was kind of definitive. And I don't know, what can I say? I wasn't in the mood for it, I guess. I was in the mood for Synchronicity. This is the greatest, probably Nakamichi recording you can get because it's a rock album and it's just the Police Synchronicity. It's incredible. You know, the Sound of Nakamichi reference. So I don't want to get all the technical specifications, but of course Nakamichi out of Japan made some of the greatest cassette decks in the world. I've got a Dragon actually. Doesn't work, but I've got one. I'll fix it someday. It was supposed to be repaired by Steven Sank, but it only really worked for a year. It ate my tapes, and I was just really devastated by that. I don't know why it was acting up like that because, well, it was supposed to be have been serviced by Steven Sank, and the orange capacitors were supposed to have been replaced. So, of course, I didn't listen to the Police on any hi-fi deck, but I did try to listen to it on a deck that I haven't used very much. I haven't really talked about... I mean, decks aren't really that... Some decks are really good, but if you find a decent one, I think it sounds pretty much the same, to be honest with you. Some people get more into the tape decks than the tapes, but I always imagine those people have pretty bad taste in music. They probably just listen to, for the most part. I mean, I kind of think it's a bit more subjective than some people do. I think, what is it? Like the audiophile guy that I was talking to on Facebook who we didn't agree said something like, good fidelity is a 0-to-1 ratio of surface sound signal to noise or something like that. He had it all worked out, but I'd like to really know what like kind of lame like Steely Dan Rush album or whatever the hell like thing he listens to, Supertramp or whatever, and thinks is Kansas or whatever, and is like, now this is the real. You can hear the hi hat on this, so and or whatever jerk music, like maybe Dream Theater he listens to. I don't know. Man, I'm really not in that bad of a mood, but it just sounds like I'm complaining. But that's okay because nobody's gonna watch this video. Except like, when I'm long gone. When I'm long gone, somebody will watch this video. And then they'll maybe get other people to watch it because I'll be long gone and they'll simply like, oh, he's dead, but he left this. And you can... No, I complain too much. Nobody's going to watch this video. They're going to like get to the point where I'm talking about Steely Dan or something and some... Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going on and on here again. Oh, the Raging Nathans. My friend Mary gave me this. And then I made a little video for her where I tried to dance to it and like I just banged my head. Not on anything. I did head banging first until I got dizzy, and I tried to smile too, and it didn't work out. Oh, this one has a story. This is Ride's new album. It just came out 2 weeks ago. And I was walking on State Street, and there's a record store that I never go into because they always turn their nose up at tapes. They were just, like I would go back in the day in the 90s and 2000s, and every once in a while I'd be like, do you guys sell tapes? And the guy'd be like, no, we don't. And I'd say, okay. And it's the same guy that's still there 25, 30 years later. And it's a local record store, so I'm supposed to support him, but he never supported the format that I buy. So I never went in there. And lo and behold, I was like, I'll just go in there again. And of course, they've got tapes now, and they've had them for 6 years, at least. I think I did ask them, and they had a small selection 6 years ago. But I frankly, just to complain more about everything, because obviously I want to complain about everything tonight. Yeah, I didn't particularly boycott him, but I felt pretty gratified to know that he's had tapes for years now, and he must know about me. And being a tape collector, yeah, of course he knows who I am, because I was the guy who always talked about tapes. And then I'm like, oh, you have tapes. Anyway, I looked in the tape section, and under ours, and their tiny tapes section was the new Ride album. I believe I showed off my promo of Nowhere. But I got that and a few other things, and I was really happy. I was like, hey, I've got this thing now. All right. It wasn't Again, not a life-changing album, but fun to get a 2024 album that was just released 2 weeks ago on tape that I didn't know existed. And I walk into this record store that I didn't know they had tapes, and I buy it. Okay, so here's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 93 nominees. They've gone all out for some reason in '93 because tapes were still a thing, and it has like they could have really gotten away with just side one, which has already 15 songs, but they put another like 15 songs on side B, and they like this is a 45-minute tape, and it's got some. Who do I love? The Velvet Underground, of course. I could tell you about how. Let's complain some more. Sly and the Family Stone. They've got We Got to Live Together. Different Strokes for Different Folks. Can I just say, since nobody's watching or listening, I never liked that song. It's like a bunch of little ditties that they pasted together. It sounds okay, but it's really lazy that they never like made a song out of that because it's just like a bunch of song endings stapled together. Why do people like that song? I hate that song. I don't hate Sly and the Family Stone, but I'm not into that one. I do love That Dog. That Dog is, I've got another of this one, but it has a different serial number. That's how much I like him enough that I bought that. I'm pretty sure I showed off all my That Dog, but I've bought two more. I found two more on eBay. It's selections from Retreat from the Sun. I think last week on Under Teas, I had others, and what I showed off there was something about a different selection tape that had selections from the 3 albums. So it's amazing how Geffen, like these Geffen promos, they just make them and they just go all out and they make all sorts of different things. Oh, right. I was supposed to. So I admit something now. No, I don't want to admit something yet. I'll admit it soon. First of all, the thing I want to say is I think I was talking about the Thinking Fellers Union last time. I must have because I had some teas and I did. Yeah, I did. But I didn't have this yet. This is yet another thing I bought in the last 2 weeks that was sent to me. And I listened to it. And this one and this one, this Tripping Daisy, are the 2 biggest surprises, pleasant surprises, like that I've listened to in the last year. And I listened to them both last month, and I was just. I mean, I love the Tripping Daisy, but I'd already kind of heard some of it. But this Thinking Fellers Union, I had not heard any of it. And I loved it so much. I love the way the album ends. The noise. Like, they say in the liner notes something like, essentially that, like, they're just fucking around on the noise part of it, and it's not, like, they have a name for the noise stuff, then they don't really seem to give themselves much respect or love on what they were doing, but it's a critically acclaimed album. Now, the first album is called, I forget. Shoot. From 1990. I think it's got one, Wormed by Leonard, right? And I liked that one. Okay. I think this is their second one. And then they have one called, a different thing. And then they've got, Strangers of the Universe or something is their final one. I've always liked Strangers of the Universe, especially like the first song. They sound a little bit residency. But wait, no, this is Lovelyville, sorry. But the other one, the Mothers, right? Mothers of the something. That one I didn't like. I was just like listening, like reading the lyrics. I thought the lyrics were not very good. I was just like, oh God, kind of a drag to listen to, and not fun and not good. And so I just was thinking like, I might like this. Well, for whatever reason, this is one of the best album I've heard this year as far as like what I'm into, like how they use sort of noise and music together, and it's just I don't know what to say. I'm running out of words. Like I'm speechless about it. I've been blown away about this, and I really wish I'd gotten it, with the other stuff. I think I mentioned there was like a compilation, couple of TVT compilations. So I'm thinking this album, A Mission of Burma that I already had, and something else, and I got it all for like $60. Now for this one, this cost me 40, and I've been kind of like wanting it ever since like I got those 5 things like 4 years ago. Well, something happened in the mail where somebody stole it. I think I mentioned that. Yeah, I probably mentioned it. So I didn't get the chance, and now like lo and behold, like just after I discuss it, there it shows up, and there I get to listen to it, and I mean, I really wish I'd gotten it back then, but I'm so happy to have it now. I mean, I'm just happy to have it. Okay, so I can move on then. And I'm pretty sure I had this Tripping Daisy. Here's the thing I have to admit. Well, number one, I think I already said I loved this album too. And I compared it like so much more. Like I'd said, oh, that's right. I said I didn't like the other ones, but I adored this one. Well, sometimes I don't always read the lyrics now. And you notice I was kind of flipping things down when I started here. That was to note albums where I have not quite read the lyrics. I've listened to it, but I haven't read the lyrics yet. But I want to show it as part of this section because I was excited about it. So this one I now have read the lyrics, but I kind of forgot. It should have just been filed under T. I'm sorry. I'm showing it now. It shouldn't be in this section. I meant to look. I've been so busy with my movie and all sorts of things, and I can't remember every little thing. But this one I haven't quite read all the lyrics to. There's full lyrics in here, but I haven't read them yet. That's my admission. Well, this has full lyrics. This is fun to read. This is Sang. I think I mentioned this. The Chinese opera stuff. Well, this has a full lyric sheet. And of course, it's all in Chinese. And what I do is I sit and I talk to my dad on the phone. And I'll just stare at all these Chinese characters. So it's not like can read this because I can't read it. But I read it in the sense that my eyes glaze over. And it's pretty huge. There's like 3 sheets of this. So I just kind of like sit there with my finger with a pen and make sure that I've, quote, read all this. What an insane thing to do, right? Am I crazy? But I do it. I read all the lyrics. That's very important to me. Okay, so let's slop through the rest of this. Now we're into use, and it's all 22 minutes in. Wow. As this has gone on, I've taken more and more time because less and less people are watching. Nobody cares. Udhas is a singer. He's wonderful. Universal Congressive is okay. They're very improvisational. Wait, is Udhas? No, that's not the kid, right? No, that's the singer. I'm sorry. Okay, Unrest. Oh, we're into Unrest. So, these are all the re-releases of Unrest. That's Mark Robinson's band. I've spoken with him a little bit. He's re-released a lot of his stuff, both Unrest and other Teen Beat things. My Synthetic Socks was released on that. That's invaluable. And of course, the Red album, which was called The Tube Bar. I think the first release of that was on Teen Beat. I've talked about that too. The Unrest and this Twister. I've got an original Twister, but this is the re-release of it. I mean, really, it's just like a piece of paper and, really cheap. But who cares? It's by the real guy. I appreciate what he was doing. Oh, but this one's a more, eventually they were able to do higher production. So this is a best of for Unrest. I believe it. Yeah, and I've also got the promo version of this too. And it's official looking. Oh, this was released. The most frightening show in the entire world to this day. Yeah, this is if you're a kid, I don't know, it was 15 when this came out. And the reenactments are silly, but Robert Stack is the most terrifying man. Just his, you just kind of come away from the show. We'd go. I think it was on Wednesday nights, and I watched it over with my dad and my brother and my dad, and at that, we'd go over to his girlfriend's house, and anyway, we'd watch all this and just, I think we were silently just horrified. Especially if it was a dumb ghost story where there's a ghost in the back seat or something, and you could kind of see it. And when you're a kid, you just don't know any of that stuff isn't real. And there's some note that this Unsolved Mysteries, I think televisions were finally able to hit some really low bass note, and so the theme song hits that incredible note, and you're just like, yeah, it's the most horrifying thing. And then Robert Stack says, "You could solve a mystery." You're just like, I don't know, crying yourself to sleep, and well, maybe not that bad, but you are freaked out if you watch Unsolved Mysteries at that time. Oh, here's my Unwound. These are all re-releases of Unwound. Of course, I've got the vast majority of the Unwound, but this had albums that I did not have. So I have like Unrest and now Unwound. It was great because like back in my other section, I've got all the original Unrest and Unwound that you could get at the time, at least. Well, these were actually really impossible to find, but I never found them. But now they're being re-released. And then these Unwounds are re-released, and some of them are ones that were not released. So now they are. Okay, this is almost done. Yeah, this section, the actual used, we're going to be a lot quicker. Frankly, I just have collected a lot of stuff that I'm excited about that were not used. And so now we're into use. Let's see. Urge Overkill, yeah, good Chicago band, sure, I guess. Not much to say about them. But the final thing here is U2, A Special Evening. Oh, by the way, well, which versions? Well, this is a promo, and of course this is a promo. Uriah Heep is a band that I really like, so I was obviously really thrilled to get a copy of Demons and Wizards, which is an album I had even in high school. I mean, I've had Demons and Wizards. I probably had a few versions, but this is an original here. I think a club version. I love them. I love this album in particular. They're so wild. They're so weird. Just classic rock. From, I think, Sweden, I think they are from. Anyway, like unabashed, unironic rock and roll. Okay, finally, A Special Evening with U2. Now, the fun thing about this is a Rockline tape. So it's an interview with U2 from 92. And who should call but Bill Clinton? He calls in, he's all doing his Bill Clinton, sound. Everybody knows. You all know what he sounds like, right? You might not. But anyway, U2 is hanging out with Bill Clinton on that one, and they're trying to get people to rock the vote, which is obviously a very democratic, thing. And back then they were rocking the vote. Nowadays they're trying to put the clamp down on rocking the vote. So anyway, that was U's, and next is V's, and there'll be a little bit more going on. I'm so far behind with my movie now. I'll explain just a few things I've got to do. Like, I've edited it. It's 109 lines of dialogue for this scene. I've got to EQ. I've got to do a high pass EQ, which rolls off the sort of plosives and microphone sounds, low boomy sounds that happen on a microphone when you record. I've got to do that. I've got to, I made a highlights version, I think a year ago when I was in the early stages of recording this with my friend Jake. He came over and we had a great time. We made a highlights version. He's playing Dobby, I'm playing Hallie Porter. And I'm dismayed a little bit to find out that all the work I did of editing, which oftentimes takes over an hour for a line of dialogue, of 109 lines of dialogue, that I'm actually looking back and thinking, God, some of the things that I just picked out for that highlights are coming off a little bit better than the work I did on the editing, which is, it also contains that line. I could have just grabbed that line. So it's making me really doubt myself about the editing, and I'm really sad about that in a way. Anyways, so I've got 4 lines I need to kind of put back and replace with those highlights, I guess, or just try to figure something out with that. I also have to mix the lines. I dropped the original 6 channels down to -6 dB so I can mix down rather than trying to mix our lines up and possibly have it sound ugly or distorted at all. I also have to bring in the new video that was made, which is all better synced up by the guy from Sweden. I also have to add Foley effects and the grunts, and that's been the hardest thing because it's hard to decide what grunt. Anyway, that's why the video is taking so long, and I gotta go. Good night. Goodbye.